Did you know that 8 core emotions shape our experience of life? In this video, I want to explore how each one brings unique gifts, challenges, and sensations to our bodies. Understanding them is the first step to building emotional intelligence, your superpower for resilience and connection. Let's start with anger. Anger is our protector. You can think of it as the bodyguard to our boundaries. It shows up when something isn't right, unjust, or unsafe, urging us to stand up for ourselves, take action, and create change. You might feel it in your body as a surge of heat rising to your face, clenched fists, clenched muscles, or a tight jaw. While anger helps us defend our boundaries, when it isn't managed, it can burn out of control, damaging relationships and clouding our judgment. It can become distractive if it controls us instead of the other way around. Anger is for us. It's a signal that something needs attention. It's a call to take action, to protect ourselves or our boundaries. Healthy anger doesn't mean yelling at someone or lashing out. Instead, it invites us to respond thoughtfully and assertively without causing harm to ourselves or others. Recognizing anger's message without letting it spiral is the key to using it wisely. The second core emotion is fear. Fear keeps us safe. It heightens our awareness and alerts us to danger. Think of the quickened heartbeat, the tight chest, or the urge to flee. It's your body preparing to protect you. But when fear takes over, it can freeze us in place or fuel constant anxiety. Fear is a natural and essential part of our nervous system's better safe than sorry approach. It's designed to keep us safe, even if it sometimes gives us inaccurate signals. Fear helps us stay alert and recognize danger. But when we focus too much on it, it can spiral into anxiety. And anxiety tends to amplify our fears, making us live in a world where we're afraid of too much. Instead of using fear as a guide to move to safety, we can become trapped in overthinking and hypervigilance. With anxiety, it's common to look outside ourselves for someone or something to blame. We might believe another person or situation is causing our anxiety. But the truth is, fear and anxiety are for us. They're internal signals about what's happening inside us. Emotional intelligence means recognizing these emotions, understanding their message, and taking responsibility for how we manage them. By learning to regulate ourselves, we move from blaming others to trusting our ability to handle fear and anxiety in healthier, more constructive ways. Learning to distinguish between real threats and imagined ones can turn fear from a foe into a guide. The third core emotion is pain. Pain is the signal that something needs attention. Whether physical or emotional, it's a reminder to slow down, reflect, and heal. In the body, pain might show up as heaviness, fatigue, or tension in your stomach. The challenge with pain is that we often try to avoid it, but leaning into its message can lead to transformation and growth. The brain does not strongly differentiate between physical and emotional pain. It processes both through overlapping neural pathways. Research has shown that areas like the anterior cingulate cortex and insula light up during experiences of both physical pain, like a burn or injury, and emotional pain, like rejection or loss. This shared processing is why emotional pain, such as heartbreak or grief, can feel physically agonizing, like a punch in the gut or a weight on the chest. Both physical and emotional pain are signals, messages from our bodies and minds that something needs attention. Ignoring pain doesn't make it go away. It often intensifies or resurfaces in other ways, like chronic stress, depression, and physical symptoms. Recognizing and addressing pain helps us heal and grow. Emotional intelligence plays a key role here. By being curious about our pain rather than avoiding it, we can understand its message and take steps toward healing. The fourth core emotion is joy. Joy is the lightness that makes life worth living. It fills us with energy, gratitude, and connection. You'll feel it as warmth in your chest, a genuine smile, or a sense of ease. Yet, joy can feel fleeting or even risky. like we're afraid to hold on to it. It's important to remember that joy and happiness are not destinations. They're moments. They come and go like flashes of light, reminding us of the beauty and connection in life. We often think of happiness as a state we can reach and stay in, but that's not how it works. Instead of being a constant, joy happens in small, fleeting moments. The laughter of a loved one, the warmth of the sun on your face, coming home to your dog's greeting, or the sense of accomplishment after a meaningful task. Interestingly, research shows that pursuing joy or happiness doesn't actually lead us to experience those emotions. Chasing happiness often takes us further away from it because we're focused on an outcome rather than the present moment. True joy and happiness emerge when we slow down, become aware, and allow ourselves to be fully present in our lives. It's not about seeking more, it's about noticing what's already there. When we cultivate mindfulness and gratitude, we open ourselves to the small, meaningful moments that bring joy and happiness into our lives. The next core emotion is passion. Passion fuels our creativity and purpose. It's the fire that drives us to pursue our dreams, to reach for something. You might recognize it in your body as butterflies in your stomach, or a rush of focused energy. But passion can burn too hot, leading to burnout or obsession if we don't balance it with rest and reflection. Nurturing passion wisely keeps it as a source of inspiration. In relationships, passion is often mistaken for intensity. Those high highs, emotional drama, or the electric pull that can feel consuming. But intensity is a poor substitute for true intimacy. While intensity may feel exciting, it often burns out quickly and lacks the depth needed for long-term connection. True emotional intimacy isn't built on fleeting intensity. It's built on trust, vulnerability, and constant emotional presence. It happens when we feel seen, heard, and valued by one another. Not just in the big dramatic moments, but in the quiet everyday ones. Sharing our fears, dreams, and authentic selves with a partner creates a foundation for intimacy. Sexual intimacy is an extension of emotional intimacy. It thrives when there's trust, emotional safety, and genuine connection. It's not just about physical passion, but about feeling emotionally close and secure enough to express ourselves fully with another person. Passion that grows out of intimacy is lasting, meaningful, and far richer than any temporary intensity. The sixth core emotion is love. Love is the emotion of connection. It's the warmth we feel in deep relationships. Whether it's compassion, admiration, or romantic affection, love expands us, but it also makes us vulnerable to loss and rejection. And that fear of loss or rejection can make love feel risky. Here's where it's important to remember that it's through love that we find our deepest sense of purpose and meaning. Love is the thread that weaves connection, belonging, and intimacy into our lives. It opens us to trust and vulnerability, which can be both its gift and its challenge. In the body, love feels like an open chest, a sense of calm, or even excitement. Nurturing love, both for ourselves and others, is essential for emotional well-being. Love reminds us that its power lies in our willingness to stay open, even when it's scary. The next core emotion is shame. Shame can feel like a heavy weight pressing down, making us want to disappear. It's uncomfortable, but it does have purpose. It calls us to reflect, grow, or repair. The trouble is when it becomes toxic, eroding our self-worth and holding us back. There are two forms of shame: healthy shame and toxic shame. Healthy shame reminds us of our limitations as human beings. It keeps us humble, connected, and aware of our interdependence. But toxic shame, that's when shame transforms into an identity. It becomes a constant, oppressive narrative that whispers or sometimes screams, "You're not good enough. You're unlovable. You don't belong." How does toxic shame take root? We can trace it back to early childhood experiences. Toxic shame may feel like a life sentence, but it isn't. Through awareness, compassion, and connection, we can transform the voice of shame into a gentle reminder of our shared humanity. Healing isn't about perfection. Healing shame isn't about perfection. It's about reclaiming our authentic selves. By facing shame with compassion, We can learn from it instead of being consumed by it. And the last of the 8 core emotions is guilt. Guilt helps us take responsibility for our actions and repair relationships. It's the tug in your gut or the tension in your shoulders that says, I could have done better. It's rooted in empathy and accountability. When we listen to guilt, it helps us make amends and strengthen our integrity. But like shame, guilt can spiral into self-blame if we don't address it constructively and balance it with self-compassion. When we listen to guilt without letting it consume us, it becomes a powerful guide for making amends and strengthening connections. Emotions exist on a spectrum. They're not just one thing. They exist on a continuum of intensity. Anger can be mild irritation or full-blown rage. Joy can be quiet contentment or ecstatic happiness. And each core emotion branches into subcategories. Love might feel like compassion, infatuation, or admiration, while fear might show up as unease, worry, or panic. The more we understand these nuances, the better we can work with our emotions. And here's the thing, many of us struggle with emotions. We might avoid them because they feel too overwhelming. Or we might not even recognize them because we were never taught how to. Because we were never taught how. Some of us avoid them simply because they're overwhelming. And others don't realize what they're feeling because they were never taught to name or process emotions. And many have a go-to emotion, like anger, that they use to channel more vulnerable feelings like fear or shame. Avoiding or distorting emotions doesn't make them disappear. Instead, they get stuck, showing up as stress, burnout, or broken relationships. Emotional intelligence helps us face our emotions with curiosity instead of fear. It teaches us to name what we're feeling, separate the emotion from the reaction, and let emotions flow through us instead of controlling us. Emotional intelligence is the antidote. It's the skill of facing our emotions with curiosity and understanding instead of fear. Emotions aren't good or bad, they're messengers. When we stop fighting them and start listening, we unlock growth, connection, and resilience.